we really are the most successful, wealthiest nation of all time, and we've been capitulating to third stringers. That's over. And you know who benefits? Everyone. Everyone in the world benefits from this. Now people in Europe and they're going to be getting access at least to some American goods that they've wanted for a long time, but because their prohibitive governments wouldn't allow it, hey, now, you know what? Let's let the games begin. And I stated this earlier before we got to the intro. The left, and I will tell you this, the Maxwell, the Epstein situation, it's frustrating because a lot of people on the right are afraid to even talk about it. And the reason for that is there's no good way to address it because you get people who are mad no matter what you say. Like, well, what are you, a shill? You're not talking about it enough. And then you get people who go, hey, come on, don't throw Trump under the bus, MAGA. But I will say this. I actually think it is an indicator of much greater health on the right because it means that there's a significant portion of the right who's trying to hold people accountable. In other words, they don't just move on. The left just moves on. Remember an inconvenient truth? None of those predictions came true. There were 9 significant errors, according to a British High Court. None of the climate predictions have come true, and they just move on. Same with all the predictions of Donald Trump's first term. And they just move on. The predictions they made during COVID, how often, then they're wrong. They just move on. Here we are where they have made these predictions regarding these trade deals. And we have been here with you to live it in real time. That's the value of streaming every day, 11 a.m. Eastern. Every single prediction made by the financial experts and the leftist financial advisors / experts, whatever title they put on their chyron, has been verifiably wrong. They have all been proven to be incorrect. Mm-hmm. But the left is just going to move on and make something else up. So on Sunday, President Trump announced a huge deal, fresh off the heels of the deal with Japan, which was really big, with the European Union now. And of course, the economists out there who made predictions are not happy about it.
So we have good news. We've reached a deal. It's a good deal for everybody, I believe.
Better for us.
And I think you were saying this is probably the biggest deal ever reached in any capacity, trade or beyond trade.
It is. It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Was tough negotiations.
That's right.
I knew it at the beginning.
You
and
screwed
it
us.
was indeed very tough, but we came to good conclusions for both sides. So again, congratulations and many thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I wish you bought me dinner first, but when you me. So let me give you some details. A 15% tariff on most of EU goods. The EU is going to buy $750 billion worth of United States energy, $600 billion in additional investments, and the EU is not going to charge tariffs on American goods.
Excellent news.
Hey, does that mean that they're not going to be funding, Russia in this war now with all the energy purchases there?
Well, we'll get to that in just a second. And this deal was inked right after a round of golf where actually Donald Trump played quite well, but his caddy played best.
Soccer.
Leave it!
I found it.
I always find my ball. Lots of people can't. Look, it's right there. This brings us.
Desperate. Hold on. The left is so desperate. They're using that clip. See, he's cheating. I'm like, he's playing himself. Who cares?
Come on.
By the way, he's probably like, hey, if you can't find it, just toss a ball out. We don't have time for this.
It's like he's cheating.
Go sign a deal.
Is Donald Trump good at golf? Seems he's actually pretty good at golf. And people who play with him. So who cares? This brings us to the latest installment of Then and Now. All right, all references available, links in the description. And, of course, the best way to follow us, download the Rumble app. Download the Rumble app and follow me on there. Don't be beholden to some algorithmic monster on YouTube or Instagram or X, depending on who Elon's sleeping with that day. You will be notified when we are live. That's it. It's simple and straightforward. All right, so we're going to go through the predictions. And let's set the stage. You said this during run-through. If we're all on the same page and we all want America to do well, this should be a good day.
Yep.
Of course, that's not the case. Which brings us to then. Son of a my right.
Always.
This is my right ear.
To the right.
I don't get it right.
We should just change the graphic.
No. I should change me.
No.
I need to do better.
Like your yearbook never changed.
No.
Change a little. I mean,
that was very nice. Now, the media warned, right, that as this was the tariffs and the trade, this was going to cause chaos. It was going to hurt our standing on the world stage. This will be catastrophic.
It's nothing an unnecessary trade war can't fix. Trump has been systematically alienating our allies around the world.
We now have two of our closest Asian economic allies, Japan and South Korea, who are coordinating with the Chinese on how to respond to the U.S. tariffs. We have the Canadians figuring out with the EU how to coordinate.
All bets are off. Everything we thought before, all of the red lines that we thought existed, all of the long friendships that we thought
it's Al's Toy Barn.
I think we should be having a long, hard think about this.
That means accepting that this trade war with the world.
Does it? Does it mean accepting? Does it mean accepting this is going to be awful? Okay, this brings us to now. References available. President Trump has secured major trade deals with the UK, May 8th, Vietnam, July 2nd, Indonesia, July 22nd, the Philippines, July 22nd, Japan, July 23rd, and now the EU, July 27th. And since President Trump has taken office, now the tally is at least $10 trillion in foreign investment into the United States. Think about it. China was buying up farmland and pulling it out from under us before, and that seems like it's going to change. People were they were putting tariffs on our goods while we were allowing theirs to come here freely. Now $10 trillion, and that's not just governments, but also major corporations, into the United States economy. And this deal with the EU, they're happy to take it. We told you back then, hey, we're the ones holding the cards, and these nations have been taking advantage. If you want to know how they've been taking advantage of us, just look at NATO. Everyone signs an agreement, 2%, right, military spending as a percentage of your GDP, and you all get to sort of benefit from this collective protection. Only the United States and Poland did it. Some people weren't even paying half a percentage point for years. It's the same situation with pretty much all of our trade. And you know what their justification has always been? Well, America can afford it. Well, America can afford it.
Right.
That's generic.
Some
Norwegian
Scandinavian,
something. You can afford it. Look, our country's so small, we don't have the same diversity.
And they didn't want to do this deal, right? By the way, the EU has been one of the, I guess, the biggest, loudest, craziest person in the room, other than Canada. Canada doesn't have any power, though, right? The EU does have some
Canada's
power.
going to follow
They're
suit
going to have
very
to follow
quickly.
suit. Exactly. That was going to be part of my point here. But they didn't want to do this deal. They were pissed off at Donald Trump, especially when we went over there and started saying, hey, that 2%, 5 actually sounds like a really good number to me instead of 2, right? Yeah. And a lot of these countries now are going to 5. So you're seeing Donald Trump bring these guys in and make them do what he wants. And the next one is China. We'll see how that goes. I know they're meeting on it right now. CNN was just playing that up. But I guarantee you, if we get a good deal with China, they'll be like, the United States is making uneven trade deals that could lead to war in the future. Right. I guarantee you that's what's going to happen.
Of course. Absolutely. Well, we've shifted the mindset from, you can afford it, so we should be able to do this, to us saying, you know what? You can't afford to not have us as a partner.
Yeah.
So we're not going to be exploited anymore.
Yep.
You can't exploit us anymore. That's the shift. That's when you talk about America first.
That's what China did. China said, you want to be in a market? Fine. We're going to own everything.
Yep.
That's not what we're asking for, by the way. Something less.
Although Europe has been like, okay, China, it's better than America because they're so arrogant. They left and they made it better. Here's another one. Here's the then. And this one is really fun because it's just so quantifiably untrue that the left doesn't even know how to argue this anymore. Remember, they screamed that tariffs, hey guys, it's just going to drive up inflation. It's a tax on you.
Tariffs that could raise prices for many products that Americans buy, potentially stoking inflation.
From food to toys, clothes to furniture, inflation jumps as Trump's trade war works its way through the U.S. economy.
Inflation is on the rise thanks in part to Trump's disastrous tariffs.
Rising prices are sending inflation to the highest level that it's actually been in 4 months, in part due to the president's trade war, with more threats, more tariffs to come.
So think about what you just heard. Inflation because of Trump. That brings us to now, okay? Not only is there no inflation crisis, the year-over-year inflation as of June is 2.7%.
Yeah.
2.7%. Now, that's pretty normal, right? Between 2 and 3. I think we had below 2, like 1.8 during Donald Trump's first term, which was pretty much unheard of.
Something like that, yeah.
But 2.7 is right about average. With more context, compare it to Biden, it was 5% average.
Jeez.
Including, by the way, his worst year, 2022, 9%. 9%. And now we have 5 months in a row where inflation is lower than expected. And I wonder why it's lower than expected. Could it be because all of the financial experts and those in media, and by the way, those in D.C., they were Chicken Little saying the sky was falling. Maybe the same thing with this big, beautiful bill, right? It cuts spending by $1.7 trillion. I don't know exactly what it ends up being now. And they're going, actually, this is going to add to the deficit. Well, actually, no, it's not. So all of their predictions from the experts, they have been verifiably false. And I want you to remember this. Hold the left's feet to the fire on this. They just move on. Florida's not supposed to exist. Do you guys know that? With climate change? Florida's not supposed to be a thing. Do you guys understand that? Why isn't everyone just going, hey, Florida's still a thing? Well, climate change, shut up! Florida's still a thing!
Yeah. It's still there, boys. By the way, during the Biden administration, the 5% was the economy opening back up.
Right.
Remember the cover that they ran for him on that average 5%? When it got up to 9%, they're like, all right, this is getting a little high. Maybe he needs to do something. 2.7% is, wow, it's the highest that it's been in 4 months, and it's on the rise. It's like a big concern.
Right.
And with the EU trade deal, again, we talked about this. We're all Americans. We should be very happy when something good happens for everybody in America, really. You get a trade deal done, and they're not being taken advantage of anymore. You know what they're saying? U.S. consumers are going to pay 15% more. That's the tariff on stuff coming in for European goods. Has that happened with any other country so far?
No.
You've been wrong on everything. Do you just want to take a minute maybe and just shut up and reflect on the mistakes you've made in life that led you to be an economist?
But you know what I will say too, President, look, everyone makes some missteps. And we've talked about the Epstein. I don't think the handling has been great. I think there have been some issues, pretty significant. But on these trade deals, I mean, $10 trillion in foreign investments in the United States. That number coming out of my mouth, if it were in a movie, like he's the best president of all time, he had $10 trillion, you'd be like, this writing's so weak.
Yeah,
come on, pick a more realistic number.
Yeah.
He's so good at it. People say credit where credit's due. He's the best leader on the world stage, I think, it's certainly arguable, ever, as far as negotiating these kinds of arrangements. We have never been in this position. And we should be. Think about that for a second. We are the wealthiest nation. And not just as far as finances, but as far as technology, as far as intellectual ability, patents. We really are the most successful, wealthiest nation of all time. And we've been capitulating to third stringers. That's over. And you know who everyone in the world benefits from this. Now people in Europe and they're going to be getting access at least to some American goods that they've wanted for a long time, but because their prohibitive governments wouldn't allow it, hey, now you know what? Let's let the games begin. We're getting closer to what is a free market economy. The left is always wrong on these predictions. And they tell you, well, financial experts. I almost would sort of set this as a premise. If they're a liberal, they can't be a financial expert. It's not a thing. It's not a possibility. That's my opinion. You guys can comment below, too. How have you been affected? Genuinely. We talked about Trump's first term, how affordable everything was, and then how everyone was feeling it under Biden's term. Have you noticed a shift? Do you think that your money goes a little bit further? Where do you notice this most? And not to be anything other than a day late and a dollar short, even Bill Maher, who you should trust no further than you can throw him, and he's a tiny, frail man, he had to admit that even he was wrong. Okay.
I remember along with probably most people, were saying at the beginning, by the 4th of July, somebody had a thing how the economy was going to be tanked by then. And I was kind of like, well, that seems right to me.
Because you were the one saying it.
That didn't happen. I also drive around. I don't see a country in a depression at all. I see people out there just living their lives. And I would have thought, and I got to own it, that these tariffs were going to sink this economy by this time, and they didn't.
By the way, Bill Maher, and he's invited me to do his show there, not on HBO, that show, because that has like 4,000 plays and it's entirely guest dependent. This is a guy who called all Tea Partiers racist. This is a guy who was dyed-in-the-wool, Barack Obama. This is a guy who said that using the word socialist was actually a racist dog whistle. You meant to use the N-word. He was the tip of the spear as far as woke activism, and now sees that he's a little too old and he's not woke enough for them. So don't trust this guy whatsoever. And he's sitting there and I was like, it sounded about right. Yeah, because you were saying it. You were saying it. And I'm sorry, we're not going to give you the out because you've been saying this same crap forever.
The whole problem with Bill Maher is summed up in his comment. I believed that this was going to happen. He's not an economist. He didn't do like the research to understand. What he did is he goes, well, all these people on the left are saying that this is going to happen, so therefore it must be likely it's going to happen. That's the kind of crap that we have to deal with Bill Maher. That's why he gets stuff wrong. He just buys stuff and doesn't do any research on it, and then goes out there and parrots it as though it's fact. Right. And he gets to come back and say, hey, I was wrong. Look at me. I'm also high right now.
Well, that's this whole thing. Like, I'm going to do a podcast, and we're going to smoke weed and drink, and it'll be fun for the kids, okay? No, it's not. You suck. Now, here's how...
I guess I'll stop doing that podcast.
Okay, well, there goes Friday's show.
Do it. You should do it.
Okay, yeah.
Just to, because you're better than him.
Yeah.
So, the lack of self-awareness from the left... this has since been removed, so that's what we're going to provide this reference for you. Democrats, they're so used to not being called on their crap. And it's not, hey, someone made a mistake. It's how comfortable are these people simply bullcrapping you nonstop that they don't have anyone in their offices say, whoa, actually, that's not a good thing to put out there. The official Democrat Twitter of the Democrat Party posted this chart to try and condemn Donald Trump on inflation. Can you guys zoom in on that? Look, they posted this, bitching about inflation, saying, look at the inflation under Donald Trump right now, record highs in 2025.
So it's going up when Trump goes in office?
The last year listed is 2024.
Yeah.
Oh,
it literally shows
it's 24.
A giant spike. It's normal. Biden years, giant spike, and now leveling off to what it's always been. And they use this as their own argument. Why? Because they didn't think they look at the title, they look at the post, the byline, whatever you want to call it, and they go, oh, people will just read that.
Yeah.
They're so used to people not doing any research for themselves on the left that they thought this would work. Now, of course, they got called on it, and so it was immediately deleted. And then they replaced it with this, where they go, look, beef is up 9% since January. Keep that up there. First off, that's a horrible graphic.
It really is.
It looks like there is actually more beef.
Which is better. I like more beef.
It's like one of those kids' games, like, can you spot the three differences? You're like, oh, this one's a full beef, and I guess the marbling is on the left side. On the back of a plate. Oh, look, now I got a maze to do. And here's the thing. For the left, they always go, it's nuance. Republicans see everything in black and white. Well, for the party of nuance, they really hate context. Again, the context is, okay, what's the comparison for inflation? Now, beef has been more affected by inflation than some other consumable goods, but the inflation, now it's 9% since January, tends to go up in the summer. Yeah, but it was 20-something% for several years under Biden. They don't want you to look into the context. They don't believe in nuance. They believe in propaganda, which is why they want everyone removed who disagrees with them.
I know. And also on the beef thing, they were telling me that part of it was a market shock because of beef coming in through Mexico was stopped because of worms or something that were infesting the cattle. And they were like, hey, we got to keep these cattle off the market. That happens. Sometimes you get it with beef that comes from different countries. You have to kind of stop it for a little bit for disease or something. And that's part of the reason that beef went up 9%.
Right. Yeah. So and it's still not as bad as what was happening under Biden years.
Yeah. Just wait a couple of months. It'll probably be right back down.
Yeah, it was the egg things with avian flu.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it was exacerbated and made worse by the Biden administration. Then Donald Trump implemented some policies that, curbed it a little bit. Let's go to another one. Back then, and this is real.
You'll get it. Just keep trying.
When their predictions are wrong numerically, right, they make the more broad stroke predictions and generalizations where they tried to paint Donald Trump, unlike the robust former Vice President Biden. Donald Trump is a weakling. He's a coward. He's not going to do these trade deals. We're going to lose because Donald Trump is a quisling. It's Taco Trump.
There was the Trump always chickens out trade, the taco trade.
Trump keeps running into the fact that they're actually bad ideas. Yeah. Like when he learns about them, he's like, that's why he tacos. He tacos because he's like, oh, the tariffs are crashing the economy.
Nope.
Trump knows that everyone knows he chickens out.
It's the taco trade because Trump always chickens out. He talks a big game on tariffs, then backs down over and over.
Well, we just went through all the deals that have taken place and the tariffs that will happen with EU products versus them not putting them on ours. But that brings us to now.
Did that Lincoln Project ad show Mexico's president as a man?
I think it did.
I think it did.
What a bunch of morons.
Yeah, pretty insensitive.
Sexist bastards.
Is it still up? I want to know if it's still up.
Yeah.
Do you have the decency and courage to at least go and delete your mistakes?
Yeah. And give the lady a Jewish last name that confuses everybody when you read it on the paper.
They actually got it right.
One
That was
AI generation. And
Yeah,
that's it.
exactly.
They actually got it right. That was the leader of the cartel.
It's Lincoln Project. Some of them are too busy diddling kids. So this
Some of them, allegedly.
This brings us to now. So you see the deals. So obviously he didn't chicken out, but don't just take my word for it. Look at how the people on the other end of this deal who don't like Donald Trump feel. Does this sound? Here's a Euro bro. Does this sound like someone who is in a position of, hey, Donald Trump chickened out, or does it sound like someone who has to eat some humble pie?
This deal might be very one-sided, and the real question is, who really benefits from this deal? Spoiler alert, it's definitely not the EU.
Good.
Parts of this deal really suck. The 15% tariff on all goods, honestly, that part felt unavoidable, especially when you look at the other deals that Trump has pushed through in recent weeks.
I thought he chickens
And the
out
idea of building
every
a list of exemptions where tariffs would be 0% is a decent start and could improve drastically over time. But what really bothers me are the investments. $600 billion into the US, while European companies are struggling to compete. That is not how we are going to make our industry at home stronger and more competitive. And don't get me started on energy. We spent hundreds of billions of euros on Russian gas. And now we're heading straight into another dependency, swapping Russian gas for American LNG.
Yes.
That really isn't how we build strategic autonomy.
What? Can you believe we're not going to be buying energy from Russia, but now from the free country of United States, even though we lobbied everyone to fight Russia?
That's like England buying gas from the Nazis in 1938, thinking it's a good idea. What?
What really bothers me is that even though we shouldn't get money from Russia, is that the U.S. is doing good and we're not doing as good. Good. Good.
I look at the positives, like you can send semiconductors to the U.S. with 0% tariff.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Hey, you know what? Maybe you stop with your stupid wind and solar renewable energy that doesn't work and you guys have rolling brownouts. Yeah. Hey, if nothing else changes, isn't it these same people who go, the United States, Donald Trump, simply disregarding, basically flipping the bird to our greatest allies in Europe and Canada. Does this sound like people who are great allies or who are great neighbors? It's like, I don't like that we're buying from our friends instead of buying from the enemies.
He said it ironically. When I was listening, I was like, wait, what? You can just keep buying gas from Russia if you just want to keep killing people. And I mean, I guess, according to you guys, arming Russia so they can take over Europe eventually.
Maybe they're just mad because, they were right. Trump does belong to Putin.
Yeah, exactly. Even the British outlet, the Financial Times, they had to admit this. They wrote, America's trading partners have largely failed to retaliate against Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs, allowing a president taunted for, quote, always chickening out, his raise nearly $50 billion in extra custom revenues at little cost. Yeah, that's called winning. You should try it sometime.
It's been a while for them, by the way. By the way, this is Donald Trump. Again, according to CNN, he's reducing the deadline for Russia to make a peace deal with Ukraine to something like 10 or 12 days instead of 50.
Some people in Europe are like, don't do it. We haven't transitioned our energy yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is great timing. He's like, make the deal with the EU. Okay, well, now that we've secured that deal.
Listen, Josh, you're not wrong. You take away a huge future cash cow for Russia, and they start to see the writing on the wall going, okay, maybe. And look, I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying it does give him a lot more leverage to be like, see, they're not going to be supporting you anymore. What are you going to do?
It's a benefit. Donald Trump's not a pacifist, but Donald Trump absolutely prefers negotiation and pulling every lever available to him before some type of armed conflict. And there are a lot of levers economically, and that's his strong suit. And absolutely, this is going to box Russia in. And you have people in Europe complaining about it, which tells you they just hate freedom. They hate your First Amendment rights. They hate your Second Amendment rights. They hate that the United States left and became a bastion of freedom and is more successful than them. It's over. Europe telling us how to live? No, we're not going to. Well, why not? Because now you have to get your energy from us. So obviously you guys aren't. You should tell us nothing. You should sit down, shut up, and learn. This has been possibly the biggest embarrassment that the EU has experienced since, last week when China put their leaders on a charter bus.
In the early hours of July 24th, Chinese President Xi Jinping will meet with President Costa and President von der Leyen, while Chinese Premier Li Qiang will co-chair the 25th
Colgate
China
College
EU
water
summit
polo team.
with the two EU
They had to
leaders.
stop at Love's.
Can you imagine President Trump
Oh, no.
I'm not getting on a Greyhound.
Just somebody shooting up in the back.
They ride on a bus, and after they carry him in, like King Tut.
Yeah.
That's right.
Lane said if he had to choose between nuking Beijing and getting on that bus, he's pushing the button.
Beijing's going to get a little toasty.
There's no Diet Coke on that bus anywhere.
And of course, that's a power move, and Europe has to take it. The good news is with us, they just take it because now it's fair. We're correcting course. But if China goes, you get on bus, they're like, oh, all right. We'd prefer not to, but we're not really in a position to do anything. We've neutered ourselves. And by the way, I should note that was, of course, a Chinese bus driver, so there were a few unexpected detours.
No. Don't worry. There's shortcut. Drive fast. Put on the seatbelt. Oh, shit, you have none.
Listen, they got there.
Somebody call Keanu.
Wow.
Really silly. All right, we're going to... So, in conclusion, we're doing really well economically as a country. Everything the left said. And remember when they were so mad? I think it was Rush Limbaugh who said that he hoped Barack Obama failed. And they said, this man is rooting against... He was hoping that Barack Obama failed in implementing policies.
Yeah.
And you know what? He was right, because it was a pretty rough patch. Like I've told you, 8 years of Obama, 4 years of Trump, really 3 because COVID was a year that was stolen from him, 4 years of Biden, and now we're back to Trump. This is going to be the most valuable historical record of contrasts in really the last several hundred years in the United States, because it's very, very clear. History will be very kind economically to Donald Trump, and it will be very, very unkind to Obama and Biden. And hopefully, and I think that's why you're seeing Gen Z becoming more conservative, because they grew up in the era of hero worship of Barack Obama. They had nothing to show for it, and now they're seeing how things can work. So you got to keep your foot on the gas. Oh, you're still here watching this on YouTube? There's no more. It's over. Just like YouTube. YouTube is over. It's not a thing anymore. How many Seth Meyers clips do you need? Head on over to Rumble. Follow me there. Live on weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern, where we can actually speak freely and don't have to self-censor. YouTube it's really not a thing. Like, you ever seen one of those towns that maybe was like a mining town, or maybe they made some kind of alloy? You say, hey, I wonder what they did in this town. It takes a while to find a person who can tell you what they did in that town, and even then you don't fully understand it. That's YouTube. YouTube is that town. So go to Rumble.